Welcome to the Power of Just One, where inspiring women are gathering and sharing their most powerful practices to spark your journey towards living from a baseline of bliss. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to the incredible Megan Ashton. Megan is a passionate, caring, and highly experienced breathwork facilitator, as well as a facilitator teacher. She's also certified in as a clinical hypnotherapist, wellness writer, yoga instructor, nutritionist, and Reiki 2 practitioner with a depth knowledge in trauma, mental health, relationship dynamics, and the subconscious mind. Her mission is to share the healing power of breathwork with as many people as possible. So, without further ado, let's welcome Megan into the room. Megan, yay!
Hi,
Thank you so much.
Lulu. Thank
Oh my gosh.
you.
Where is this where are you right now in the world?
I am in this amazing, charming, spiritual little magical mecca of a beach town called Sayulita, which is on the west coast of Mexico.
Oh, I love it there so much. I used to run retreats in Punta de Mita.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I
I
used to do
didn't know
surf and
that
yoga
connection.
retreats. Yeah, in Punta de Mita, and our coach was is Reach Risa. I don't know if you've ever crossed her path, but she's a Mexican woman, kind of also lived in. She's also part of this program, actually, which is crazy.
Oh,
I know I should
amazing.
introduce you guys. She does like retreats
Yes.
too. She's an amazing
Okay.
surfer and surf coach, and yeah,
Wow, cool.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, okay. So we got to dive in because we got like 30 minutes. So I thought we could just start with one of your personal stories that led you to the remarkable work that you're doing today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing today, firstly, is just conscious connected breath work, and I'm sure I'll explain that later. And what led me there is a bit of a roundabout story, but basically I was on I would say 15-year healing quest around the world. I was trying to heal from childhood trauma and then some trauma from abusive romantic relationships. It's also trying to get over bulimia, which I'm sure was rooted and connected to all of those things. And I was trying everything. I was just living around the world trying different things. I became a clinical hypnotherapist, hoping that would help. And then I became a holistic nutritionist. And then I studied in India to become a yoga teacher, and I got my Reiki certificate. I went to a bunch of shamanic healing sessions. I did talk therapy. And then, like, very close to when I started the breath work, but right beforehand, like 6 months prior, I had done a week of ayahuasca and combo in the
Wow.
Colombian jungle. And
Wow.
yeah, but I didn't have a good experience. And I do think the medicine can be a beautiful, amazing thing for the right people at the right time when it's facilitated properly. But
Hmm.
for me, I had a nightmare experience, and I was told not to keep doing it. But then the shaman, the guy got that message in the set, my first ayahuasca, not to keep doing it. The shaman's like, you have to keep going. And I did it. And I think I was like traumatized from that. And I got sick for like a year after that, trying to recover from just like all of that
Wow.
stuff and that. Yeah. So I was like, why can't I just get my breakthrough? I'm trying everything. And then I was in Bali and I was living there. And a friend of mine's like, you have to try this breath work. And like my first thought was, okay, so when I did my yoga teacher training, my least favorite part was the daily pranayama breathing practices. I'm like, I found those boring. I couldn't drop in.
Of
So I'm like,
course.
I don't know about this breathing stuff. But I trusted my friend, and she told me that she's like, this breath work cured my bulimia, which I've had for a decade. She's like, it just went away. I was like, okay, that's a pretty big like statement. I trust you. I'm gonna give it a try. And it was at my favorite yoga studio, and I trusted them. And so I showed up. And within 10 minutes, I had goosebumps just talking about it because
I
I'm
have
just so
goosebumps
moved.
too. I'm like, how can this be? You're in Mexico and I'm in Bali right now. I
I
don't know
love
if
it.
you know that.
Oh,
I know.
I
Crazy.
love how the universe works. And it was just such a profound experience. I went back to when I was 2 years old, and I was just crying out to my mom, like, why couldn't you love me and touch me more? And like, as a side note, she loves me.
Mm.
She did the best she can. She's a best friend of mine now, but that was just some repressed stuff that I'd
Mhm.
been burying for my whole adult life. And I had numbed myself out. So I couldn't feel joy unless I was drunk. I just couldn't feel anything. So I didn't allow myself to feel the pain. So I was just at this, like, kind of numbness for all of my adult life. But I went into this. And I just started wailing, crying. And usually I'd be so self-conscious and I wouldn't do that in front of a group. I had all these other people breathing next to me and I didn't
Right.
care. I was just in it. And I was just processing. And then there was an assistant for this breathwork facilitator, and she was helping to hold space and offer touch. And she was just there with me with a loving, nurturing, mothering touch that I always had craved. And it was right at the moments I was processing. And it was just the most magical, beautiful experience. And it wasn't a painful cry. Like, yeah, there was so much pain coming out, but it felt so
Mm.
good at the same time to finally feel it. And
Mm.
I knew after that session, I went home pretty tired because I released a lot that day,
Yeah.
but I knew right away, I'm like, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But everything else I had done trainings in, it just didn't give me the healing I was looking for. So it felt inauthentic to keep bringing it to others. So I just kind of lost it, you know? And this,
Yeah.
I just knew, I'm like, this, I made it my mission literally to learn as much as possible about breathwork and then to help make breathwork as popular and accessible as yoga around the world. I just decided that day that was something I wanted to do with my life. And also, as a side
Wow.
note, about 3 months prior, I was working with a life coach as a writer for him, and I was doing a lot of stuff on law of attraction. And I
Mhm.
decided I really want to find my life's purpose. You know, I'm wandering around from place to place, but I feel a bit purposeless. So that was what I was trying to manifest and manifest. And then suddenly it just shows up and snaps, and it's just changed my life forever. The next day I woke up after that breath work and I felt reborn. I literally just felt like I didn't care as much what people thought about me. I was more confident and in my power, and things just felt lighter. And I felt like now I have this higher happiness set point and I can feel joy and connection and love. And I still get goosebumps talking about it. And I'm just so
I'm like
grateful.
covered in goosebumps, and I almost started crying,
Yay.
which I'm super emotional. So I'm like, whoa, oh my
Me too
God.
now that I've opened
Ooh,
that wellspring and we can feel our
yeah,
feelings, but emotional is
yeah,
beautiful because then we can feel the highs as well, you know?
of course. And so, how many years ago was this?
6 years ago.
Wow. And in Bali,
Yeah.
so believe it or not, not this not well, I'm in Monday now. So not your yesterday, the Sunday before, I experienced my first ever conscious connected breath work. And
Oh,
it
amazing.
was and I've done a lot of breath work, and it was by far like the most incredible experience. Like, I didn't even know because I'm like, I've done so much healing and like released a lot of stuff. I didn't know there was anything else in me. And
Mhm.
believe me, I was like, she made us grab a pillow and just like, scream and cry into this pillow. And I was
Mm.
like, oh my God, where did that come from? So I
Wow.
feel like, I feel like these kind of things are just, these kind of experiences, you're always on a journey. Like, do you find with your own practice that you're also still releasing stuff?
Of course. Like I'm a strong
Yeah,
believer that as long as we're alive, we have more things to
we're releasing.
process, to release, and to learn and just
Mhm.
continually evolve. And like you'll
Yeah,
get to a standpoint. If you do like this regularly, it's going to be a lot of powerful shifts as they're taking off some initial layers. And then you'll have like a lull for like a session or two. And then suddenly you're
yeah,
like, okay, I guess I'm good now, you know, but then it's like, oh no, bam, you're back in it. You have more to learn, lady. Like there's always more to
always
learn and
more.
process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to connect. So, okay, for anyone that is, they've probably heard a buzzword or something about breath work. What is breath work?
Okay.
Just in
So
general. Yeah.
yeah, first I just want to like define what it's not because most people when they hear breath work, they think something like, you know, learning how to breathe properly or optimally, and that's like functional breathing. And so like I've had a lot of people be like, "Ugh, I don't need that. I've been breathing my whole life. I don't need to learn
Right.
how to breathe, you know?" Like and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not teaching how to breathe. This is something very different. And then other people think of like the breathing practices that you might use to fall asleep or to relax in the moment or reduce stress, like the box breathing. And
Right.
actually, this is connected. The full term is conscious connected breath work. And for short, we often just call it breath work without a space between breath and work. And this is actually the opposite of those relaxation breathing practices like the box breath, because those are all about activating the parasympathetic rest and digest branch of our nervous system. But with connected breath work, we're purposefully activating the sympathetic fight or flight branch. But what's amazing about it is that we're doing it ourselves. Like we're actually actively doing it with our breath. So it's very empowered. Whereas usually this gets activated when we're feeling disempowered, when we're scared, when we're having a stress, an adverse experience, a trauma, we're trapped,
Mm.
whatever it is, we're put into that state, right? So when we get back into that state, but in an empowered way, we can then revisit these things that are maybe buried and trapped in our bodies, these stuck emotions or traumas. And we can start to like work through them and process them and really access them and then create some like real and lasting change. And an analogy I always like to give is kind of like with the parasympathetic breath practices, they're really good for like making you feel good in the moment. They will
Mhm.
relax you and they're really good tools to have. But it's kind of like this putting a rug over like a gaping hole, you know? And like if that gaping hole is like all of your traumas and your limiting beliefs and whatever else is in there. And
Mhm.
then with this type of breath work, we're taking that rug away and we're starting to go into that hole and we're really working through it. And then we're like taking out the bad stuff that's fallen in there and then filling it up with more good stuff, more empowering stuff. And we can like really create deep and lasting change with it.
Wow. I mean, I love how you've just worded all of this. So, specifically, your work is with conscious connected breath work, and that's like a system that you've learned. Because I mentioned that you're also a facilitator, so you're also teaching others. Like, if I wanted to learn how to teach it, then you would teach me.
Right, exactly. So
And
the terms
so,
that we use, oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. You're already going
I
to
was just
answer
gonna
my
say,
question.
oh, okay. the, the terms we use for like whoever's leading or holding space in a breathwork session is a breathwork facilitator.
Okay.
And then for somebody who wants to learn to become a breathwork facilitator, because you're working with the subconscious mind, you're working with traumas, and you're working with the sympathetic nervous system, there's also physical contraindications for it you need to be aware. So there's a lot to know in order to be able to hold space safely. So you need to go under a really deep, thorough training. We recommend a minimum of 200 hours, but ideally at least 400-hour training. And
Mm,
so whoever's teaching you for that would be like the teacher basically. And I do both because I
yeah.
realize like if my mission is to make breath work as accessible as yoga, I can't just do that by offering it. I have to teach other
Right.
people to offer it, right?
It's totally. That's how it's just going to be like
I hope so.
it's
I
going to
see it
accomplish your
happening. I
mission.
mean,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
it
five
is. It
years
is.
ago, no one had heard of it. And now there's little epicenters throughout the world where it's becoming
Mm.
more and more known. And like, if you ask around, someone you know will most likely have done it or know someone else who has done it at this point. And I think it's going more and more. It's really growing exponentially.
So conscious connected breath work is like it is a system that you follow for this experience, right? Can you just give
Yeah.
a high line like of what it looks like? Like let's say my practice was I think the practice was an hour.
Hmm.
Uh I think it was an hour. Yeah. So what does that just highlighting, what would it look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah, so every facilitator does it differently. And I really recommend if you're going to do a session to do one where the breathing part itself is at least 50 minutes long because you will do this lying down, first of all, with your eyes closed. And
Mhm.
often, it's most often through the mouth, but some facilitators do it through the nose. And it takes about 15 or so minutes in the beginning to really start to alter your state of consciousness. And so that first 15 minutes is usually just resistance. Even for myself, even for the biggest breathwork fanatics in the world, you still get that ego mind like trying to talk you out of it. It's not going to work for me today. This is too much work. I can't do this for an hour. My throat's dry. All these things. You know, when is it time for dinner? All the things.
I love that you're
Yeah.
being very real because that is
This
exactly.
because I
It's
want
like, okay, well, I'm
everybody.
feeling a little sleepy right now and my mouth is dry. And so there's resistance. Okay. So that's
Yes.
like the first 15 minutes is just connecting with the breath that you're leading and then
Hmm.
dealing with the resistance.
Breathing through the resistance and knowing and having faith and trusting, knowing if you can just breathe right into that center of resistance, keep with the pattern. After 10 or so minutes, maybe 15, something's going to switch. And then you're going to be in an altered state of consciousness where it's like a sense of timelessness. And then by the end of the session, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was an hour or however long it was. You're not going to believe
True.
it. And a lot of time, like people don't want to come back to normal breath. They're like, no, we're just going to stay here. We're good out here in this other space. So just know it's not going to be like an inner battle the whole time. That once you get past that resistance, it's like you just open up to basically universal consciousness, your own inner wisdom, all of the healing transformation insights possible. And so it's just so worth it to get through that initial resistance. And the benefits are just so diverse and incredible because it's guided by your inner wisdom. But I guess to get back to your question, so the first 15 minutes, you're breathing lying down, eyes closed, resistance. And then usually there's like a peak in the journey about halfway through with music, and then it kind of becomes more spacious as you just kind of go off into that journey. And then most facilitators will allow, like, you will invite you to come back to a normal breath and then give you 10 or so minutes to start just like integrating and lying down and bringing all of those learnings back and giving yourself some love, because you are in an altered state and it takes time to come back. And
Mhm.
I personally always follow this up by a chance to write things down, because it's like having a crazy dream. You can just forget it when you come back to normal consciousness. So it can be really good to write anything that came to you down. And then after that, I also think this is a very important element, but not everyone does it, is a sharing circle. So even if it's a
Mhm.
one-on-one, just giving the opportunity for that person to share about what happened to them. And then in a group, allowing everybody, not forcing it, but inviting everybody to share. And the people that share, they find that they're able to integrate their experiences more because they've spoken what's happened to them out loud to like a loving, non-judgmental, beautiful group of others. And also there's so many synchronicities in breathwork. So whatever's happened to like one person in a session almost always has a message of wisdom and a gift for somebody else. So it's like a really beautiful offering for anyone that does feel called to share. And then I'll always finish those sessions just by a few grounding breaths together, or singing a few ohms, or whatever just feels right in that moment. And then that's basically the end of the session. But something also important to note is before we even go into this breathing, you need a facilitator that explains the process very thoroughly. I spend at least 15 minutes in the beginning explaining everything that can happen, explaining that it's in your control, which is something I love about breathwork. You have the accelerator and the brake the whole time. So that was like a part of my thing with ayahuasca. I was stuck in it for more than 20
Mm.
hours a lot of those days. I was
Oh, oh,
just
oh,
in it.
yes.
Yeah. And I was ready to be out.
Intense.
But with breath work, we can come out at any time, and we almost never need to. I've seen two people in, out of thousands over the last 6 years who have had to come back to a normal breath. But I think it's so empowering knowing that we can, that we have that if we feel like we need to. So I explain to people how to put the accelerator or brake on it, what might happen in the session so that they feel really safe. And the more the more thorough that it's explained, the deeper your participants are going to be able to go, because they're going to be able to just surrender and trust.
Exactly, because that I think that, especially for first timers or even, when I first time experiencing this type, you are going to have a little bit of fear, like, well,
Oh
where
yeah.
am I going? Right? What's going to happen? And she also opened with an intention, which I'm sure that
Yes. Thank
yeah, I
you.
love that. So
Yes.
she did exactly what you said. She did like
Mhm.
a 10-15 minute explaining. She showed us the breath, then we went with it, and she also closed just like you said, which is just awesome. So it means
Oh,
I was with a good
amazing.
facilitator. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she sounds incredible, and I'm glad you mentioned the intention as well, because that's, if it's a one-on-one, we'll discuss if there's like anything that person's working on, anything they want to release, any repetitive patterns or emotions they want to call in or let go of. And then in a group, I just ask everyone to share an intention, and it can be as simple as a word or two. It doesn't need to be anything
Mhm.
elaborate. And then I tell people to lovingly let go of their intention. It's really great to have one, but then also it's all about just surrendering and knowing that the breath is going to take you exactly where you need to go. And your only job is to breathe and feel for that full hour.
Oh my God, I love that, Megan.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's very, very good. So, okay, there's a lot of breath work out there. Like when I go to these Udara Sundays, we're experiencing like quantum breath work and rebirthing. And, so what differentiate this to the other experiences that people could tap into? And also you mentioned that there's some benefits to the breath work. So I was wondering if you could also share like why is this so effective for healing?
Okay. Yeah. I could
If
talk about
that's a
these
lot.
questions for hours. I don't know how I'm going to do this
I
in
know.
however much
We still have
time
lots of
we have.
time.
Firstly, this type of breath work is actually very similar to rebirthing breath work. So the conscious connected breath work, primarily it's like resurgence in the modern worlds happened around the 1960s. And there was two more modern practices. One was rebirthing, and then the other was holotropic breath work. And that was by a
Mm.
man named Stan Grof, who was using LSD to help his severely PTSD patients to get over their trauma. And then LSD became illegal. And he noticed this breathing powder that helped to keep people into that kind of state. And he found that it was just as healing when he had his clients doing this breathing practices and working through their trauma. And so from there, that was one of the major birthers of breathwork. And then the other one was Leonard Orr, and he was apparently in his bathtub and just had this, like, was just focusing on his breath and had this spontaneous experience where he went back to his own birth. And then basically like worked through birthing trauma and then brought this out into the world and started to like help people be reborn in that way. And so often spontaneously in breathwork, you might even go back to your own birth. But with like connected breathwork in the way it is today, unless it's rebirthing, we don't actually specifically guide you towards that. We're just such strong believers that it's your own inner wisdom and you're going to get exactly what you need. And we don't need to dictate where that's going to be.
Cool.
And so how it differs though from like many of the other breathing practices, again, it's because we're activating the sympathetic. So we're really being able to access these deeply held memories, maybe suppressed memories and traumas and tension and all these things that are stored in our body that we're often not even aware of. We can get access to them. We get access to our subconscious mind where all of our programming is. This is the part of us that's like dictating 95% of our thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. And our conscious mind, like our willpower, when we're trying to make change with our 5% of our mind's power, you can't really create change. But with this breathwork, you're working with the subconscious. So you can really start to work with those like limiting beliefs or negative stories or self-criticism. And you can really just process so many things. And you're changing the brain waves. So you're getting out of like high beta, which is what a lot of us are in. It's kind of like a stressful kind of way to be. And it brings you first into alpha and then maybe theta or gamma. And gamma is where you can have like mystical experiences. And this happens like maybe 15% of breathers will have like a transcendental mystical type experience that just changes their life in an instant. And for everyone else, like they're still having, you're peeling back layers in every session, basically, different layers of the onion. And there's always something new. And it's so different for every person every time. And I think I think the biggest difference between this and say like breath practices is just how profound it is, really. Like you're really opening up the window to create such deep and lasting change. You're making there's just so many elements that allow for this. Like first of all, as I said, the subconscious mind, but also now there's talk that maybe we are releasing DMT, which is the psychoactive spirit molecule in ayahuasca, and our bodies naturally release it. And usually they say that that's only at birth and death, sometimes while giving birth, and sometimes during extreme traumas when you have like a near-death experience, for instance, your body's releasing DMT. And now a lot of people are saying that maybe in breathwork we are releasing DMT naturally because the experiences are so similar to psychedelic experiences and plant medicine experiences. And the benefits are basically the same as well. And so there's a lot of talk about that might be it. But we're also like quieting the ego mind, like with a default mode network, that's a part of our brain that's like kind of keeping us stuck in the ego. We're helping to quiet that. And there's just so many intricacies to like the magic of this type of breath work.
And you mentioned for healing, is it like helping with anxiety, stress? Like what are the things that it's helping with?
Yeah. So all of those things. Um,
Which is huge.
all of it. I know. And what I'm saying, I'm sure it sounds like crazy. She's making too many claims for one thing, but just try it and you're
No,
going to
it's
feel divine. I
true.
can promise you
Yeah.
that.
Yes, I know. And what's so
Yeah.
funny that you mentioned, so what I love about it, and now that I've experienced it, and I've also experienced, a lot of the plant medicine, is that plant medicine seems really, really scary. And you could put that on delay forever because it seems so scary because you are going to be altered. And
Mhm.
with this breath work, it's all natural. And what the facilitator said, she said, you get high on your own supply. And it's
Yes.
true. Like I feel like, and when just bringing back to your personal story, you mentioned that, you couldn't really be yourself unless there was some alcohol or something that's like, removing the layers, allowing you to be yourself. This is all 100% natural. It's like we have our breath. We are born with it and we die because we lose, we take our last breath. And so this makes this kind of healing so incredibly accessible. You just got to
Love
find the
that.
right facilitator. Yeah. And
Yes.
so, wow, because I know a lot of people out there just on the day to day, they struggle with stress and anxiety. And I think it's all tied to resisting the truth of who we are and
Mm,
not dealing with the trauma, right?
yeah.
Because it seems very scary.
100%. I love your
Mhm.
mind processes.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, it was like I even said to Steve, my beloved, I said to him after this practice that I had, was that, wow, it brought me, it's almost that like my Aya, I call her Aya. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
Aya also visited me during this. But what you're saying is that it's creating the similar frequency that I had in Aya, and
Right.
that's why I related the experience to that, which is very
Yes.
interesting that you brought that up. Really cool.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's a lot of people have psychedelic like experiences in breath work. And but I just find it's like so empowering because we don't need to rely on something else. You know, we're looking for someone to be
Exactly.
our therapist. We're looking for a medicine to heal us. With this, we're like, oh wait, okay, all the answers are from within. I can just
Sure.
modify my
Yes.
breath and get to an altered state that's incredibly healing and insightful for me. Like, it's just our breath. And that's so much more empowering than having to rely on anything outside of us. And it's almost like an ultimate
Totally.
lesson for life?
Yeah. And it wasn't even though I didn't really understand, like, I mean, I was bawling. And there was like, I felt this deep, deep sadness, and I really didn't know what it was. And it didn't matter because beyond that was extreme love and support and connection to this energy. And so it was like, I feel like it up levels you to the point where just like some people reach in meditation or prayer or God or whatever, it's almost like a direct plug-in
Hmm.
to that. And so then when you come out of it, you're like, I don't know, it just strengthens your connection to whatever you believe in.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. So definitely, like, you get in touch with a higher power source, whatever you want to call it. You can feel
Mhm.
so reconnected after a session. And I like that you pointed out the plant medicine because I've had so many breathers come and just like explain to me, like, oh my gosh, like, I've been doing ketamine with my therapist or psilocybin or whatever it was. And this was more powerful and it was my own breath?
Yeah. Once again, yeah, I don't know if you can see it,
I
covered.
love it.
Oh
I
my
always
God.
say in
I
my
mean,
follow your goosebumps.
yeah, totally, totally. Well, hopefully, there's a lot of people watching right now, a lot of women that are like, I'm also covered in goosebumps, and maybe this is calling me to a practice, which leads me to your incredible gift that you're offering everybody. Do you want to share a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm so passionate about sharing breathwork with people. And I haven't mentioned this before, but something I really love about breathwork is that it's accessible, as you had said, to everybody, though. Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you have a spiritual practice, you don't even need to have spiritual beliefs. You can be the biggest skeptic in the world. If you show up and you follow this breathing pattern for 10 or 15 minutes, even if you're thinking, like, I'm a woo woo crazy person, this isn't going to work, it's going to work. And so I want people to experience that for themselves. So I'm offering free online guided group session. And it's going to be on June 16th at 3 o'clock Eastern time. And I will have a link available for you to share with everybody so that they can sign up
Yeah.
for that.
Oh my God, that what a gift. So June 16th at what time? I'm gonna write it down so I put it in the notes.
Yeah, 3 o'clock until 4:45 Eastern. So within that, there will be a full length
Amazing.
session. You'll find like there are other people offering some online sessions, but often they're like 20 or 30 minutes. And again, like you just get into the real good stuff and then you get pulled out. So with this long time slot of an hour and 45 minutes, you're going to have a whole hour of the connected breathing and then tons of time to come back, ground, share, journal, and then time before, of course, to understand what's going to happen and how to do it.
And what's so cool is that now with Zoom, thank you, Zoom, I can connect with you, I
Yeah.
connect with the world, and you can lead a session. I mean, I've done yoga nidras on Zoom, and it's just as effective as if I was in the room with you.
Yes, exactly.
So
So I
cool.
Yeah, I always use the analogy the breath is the medicine, and it really is in this practice. And so you could do the medicine anywhere. You don't need to be in person with that facilitator. It's your own breath, so you could do that anywhere. And the facilitator is going to be there to make sure that you're doing it safely, to make sure that you're following the actual practice. Because that's one of the things is like with the level of resistance that comes up to try and self guide would be nearly impossible. Like the resistance would just overtake you at some point and you'd stop. So, but with the guidance of your facilitator's voice and like I'll be offering energetic support and Reiki online, it can be just as an incredible and deep experience online.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. Okay, so now people love you as much as I do and they want to connect with you. Where do you hang out? Like, if someone's like, "Oh, how can I get more of Megan?" Where should they
Yeah.
find you?
Okay. I love that. A few places, I guess. I would say if you're ever looking for a vacation, you should come to like the lovely Salida Beach town and come and do one of
Hmm.
my sessions. I offer group sessions every week here during like the warm months. And then I also offer private ones by request. But also, as we were just saying, online, I offer online sessions. And I do a lot of
Amazing.
that for like one-on-ones or couples. I don't often do group ones online. This is like a special one I'll be doing in June. So if you want to book a one-on-one or one for me, like with you and a partner or a friend, you can do that online. I'm also in the Greater Toronto area in the summertime, so I offer it there for 4 months. And then if you want to find out more about me, I'm not huge on social media, so you can find me at Unity Breathwork. That's my company. But you'll find out a lot more about me on my website because I am a writer and a researcher by nature. So I have
Oh,
so many
cool.
research-based articles. I've written about how DMT may be released and why it would be in breathwork, about how it affects your brain waves. I've written about this thing called tetany, which is so common in breathwork. Did you get tetany?
Well, I don't know what that is.
You didn't get it. Okay. This happens to like
Well, I don't know what
70
it
to
is. Maybe I did.
80%. Your hands go into a claw-like shape like this and they get stuck.
No, I did not. That she did explain that that's one of the things, but I didn't.
Yes.
I was basically like, um, yeah, I was like feeling nervousness and like a little like release of energy, mostly energy.
Mhm.
And then we put our hand up and we were connecting to gratitude. And then that's when like I just went and felt
Wow.
all of my spirits, my mom, my dad, all the people. I know I can't talk about it, I'll cry. Yeah, it was
So
amazing. It was,
beautiful.
yeah, it was
Oh,
amazing. Yeah, and you just
wow.
feel like so much love and support's always there, even though you don't know. You're just like, holy
Yes.
shit, this is always happening. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Thank you for sharing that. So
yeah, of
beautiful.
course. Yeah, it was amazing. Now I'm gonna be like all emotional.
Ah,
So I
that's
highly
good.
encourage anyone that's curious to, I mean, what an amazing gift to connect with Megan. June 16th. You have plenty of time to get that in the calendar. And I'm going to include a link on our little page for you where they're listening to the interview so that they can sign up. They need to register, yeah?
Yes, and definitely
Okay.
you'll be needing to read through the contraindications waiver registration form and letting me know if you have any contraindications. Certain ones we can actually modify the breath and you can still join us. So just let me know and make sure you read through that and then you're
Yeah.
welcome to join us.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I just want to express thanks to Elena who introduced us because you've also, if anyone like does retreats, Elena does retreats and you led a breath work at her retreats, which is so cool.
Yeah, that was beautiful. It was a beautiful space she created. Just coming into that group, you could tell that she held space so well all week for all of them that they were all
Yeah,
just, so connected. Yeah. Thank you,
she's
Elena.
been a coach and a yoga instructor on my retreats, which is just so cool. And that led her to her journey. And it's just
Small
like,
worlds.
I
Yes.
know. And this is just the beginning. I can feel it. It's just the beginning. And I definitely want to introduce you to Risa because she's in Sayulita. So
Please.
she's a
Yeah.
wonderful woman to be connected to. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
I just need to express gratitude for all of these amazing speakers that have come together, but also just to Elena, who introduced me to Megan. And I just feel like Megan, you saw her, she's like an angel. And the fact that she is so incredibly passionate about this modality of healing that I hope that you felt it as much as I did. So be sure to head over to her website. I have a link on the page, which you're in the portal and I encourage everyone to experience the power of this type of breath work, conscious connected breath work. And what a gift for everybody that Megan has given. So June 16th, I wrote it down, June 16th, 3 to 4:45 p.m. EST is the day. Head over to the link, get yourself registered, and I'll look forward to seeing everyone in the upcoming interviews. Um, I can't stress enough, like because I experienced this just a couple of weeks ago, from this film date, it's it's mind blowing and powerful and amazing and wow. Okay, so for my VIP people, if I didn't say this already, I will see you at 4 p.m. EST for our little after party and have a beautiful day. Aloha.